My wife wants a divorce and I don't know what to do now. So we have been married for 2 years now. I make sure she is as happy as can be. We have everything right now: a house, a car, food, a job, etc. Yesterday, she woke me up. She was crying. She told me that she feels bad for not telling me before, but before we were even dating, she was dating someone else and broke up with him because they had sex. She now feels unworthy to be my wife because she told me she never had relations with anyone else. I told her I didn't think that should change anything about how I feel towards her. That's something that happened in the past, and we can't do anything to change it. But she just continued crying. She just started saying that I've been very supportive with her all this time, but she can't live knowing that she lied to me for 2 years and started talking about divorce. I just don't know what to do now. I love her, I know she loves me. This is just really painful. Edit: I work at home and she barely leaves. Reading the comments, I think I should add, she is very religious. And also, she had some depression crisis before. Also, I had known her for a long time, maybe 10 years now, but no formal relationship until 4 years ago. And now in the comments, staying with someone who doesn't love you back is more painful, believe me. Trying to save your marriage might not be in vain, but forcing it to stay might be even more painful in the future. The irony is that she is lying now, saying that this is the reason. Something else is going on and she's bad at making excuses. This is 100% fact. OP can believe what he wants, but life is not an HBO after-school special. She doesn't feel so bad that she can't live with herself and wants a divorce. What she wants is to be able to do whatever she has been doing, the previous guy or some other guy. The fact that you are basically telling her it's okay and it's in the past and she still wants to get a divorce is really fishy. Unless she's still seeing this guy or is cheating and is full of guilt, honestly, I would try couples therapy, and if that doesn't work, move on, bro. There is plenty of fish in the sea, and I'm sure she'll regret leaving you. Yeah, it's a bullcrap excuse. She doesn't want to be with you anymore, and probably met someone else. She's probably too cowardly to be the one asking for divorce straight away, so she made up that story so you'll get mad at her and divorce her, but she'll still be able to tell people that you were the jerk for divorcing her for something that happened before you were married. I got the same excuse from my cheating ex. I think she thought that it was easier on both of us to lie about it, but it was so much worse. And now on to the update. Yes, she was cheating and we are already divorced. Thank you all. If some of you have read my previous posts, then you know what I went through. I made my own investigation, and as a good engineer, I hacked my way to all her messages from different services on her phone. What I found just broke me entirely. She was sexting and sending pictures to this other guy who lives more than 200 miles away, and I found out that one day they saw each other while I was on a business trip. I collected all the evidence, prepared divorce papers, and showed them all together at once. On the good side, we don't have kids, and when we got married, we accepted that all our goods were owned by the one who buys them. Me, in every case. So I keep everything, and now she's alone and broke. But I can't help but feel just empty inside. I'm gonna work this out. I deserve to be happy. Now in the comments, you do deserve to be happy. Be patient and discover the things that bring peace and small joys to your days and incorporate them through your days. Bit by bit, you'll gain strength. Divorce before kids happen. This is a good ending as far as that is concerned. I feel for this poor guy. There are idiots out there who think having kids will save the marriages. It never works. Children are more likely to break marriages. That's what I think too. Even a perfect relationship can experience problems once you add children, so any relationship that's not perfect can definitely lead to divorce when kids are added. My parents had a very good marriage, married 40 plus years, almost never fought. Their advice to me was this: every step of a relationship makes the relationship harder. When they were dating and living separately, they never fought. They fought some when they moved in together and got married. They fought more, although still rarely, when they had kids. So never think that taking the next step will make things easier, because it's likely to be the opposite. Yikes. So she was feeling guilty about having sex with someone before OP and her were together, but not feeling guilty having sex with and sexting another dude while being married. Thank God there weren't kids involved. I'm guessing she wanted to admit to something less serious so she could semi-confess without being at fault and relieve her guilt. I've had exes do something similar, and then they claimed that I forgave the newer adultery with the same person because they told me about them. Our next post is titled, "Am I the asshole for going off on my wife after she made a sex sign to keep my mum from knocking on our bedroom door?" So I've been married to my wife for 4 years. We have a medium-sized apartment. For the last 2 months, my mother has been staying off and on in our guest room. My dad recently passed away, and it's hard for her to live in her house alone, so I have been letting her stay with us. My wife and I have never particularly gotten along, but I expected her to understand why it's important to me that she overlook this just for a little while. I mean, she lost her husband of 40 years. She's fragile, and I really want to be able to do what I can to make her feel better. My mum's presence has changed our routine a little bit, mainly our nighttime routine. She'll usually come knock on our door to talk, and my wife hates this. Partially because it interrupts our intimacy. Usually when she's over, we just don't make love. So this past week, I noticed my mum wasn't coming in at night. So we had normal nighttime habits. Yesterday, Mum pulled me aside and told me that the sign that I let my wife put on the door at night was disgusting and not something she ever needed to know. She also said that she was very hurt that I don't want to speak to her since I'm all she has left now. I told her I had no idea what she was talking about. She said the sign about sex. I still had no idea, and I talked to my wife about it when she got home. She admitted to it, and she said that she made a sign to keep my mum out of our hair at nights. On the sign was written, "Please do not disturb unless you want to see me effing your son." She thought it was funny and necessary, but I was mad about it. I took the sign, crumbled it up, and tossed it in the garbage. I then went off on my wife about how inappropriate and embarrassing this was. She told me it's my fault that we needed this, and it's just a joke. I slept on the couch last night, and she's still pissed at me. Am I the asshole? OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I may be the asshole for going off on my wife and calling her sign disgusting. Sheesh, you know this woman better than all of us, and yet you're surprised at actions like this? It seems like you're putting your mum over your wife in this situation when what your wife did wasn't an attack on your mother. Having to withhold sex because your mother is there all the time would be frustrating, and even you said it was frustrating earlier in this post. Yet you seem more than happy to allow your mother to get in between that sex life and, just abstain the entire time she's there. Absolutely, I feel for all of you guys with your dad passing away in this instance, but it seems there does need to be change and things can't continue for months after this. That's just asking for trouble and resentment to bubble. I'm glad that your wife took the first step in this instance, but I don't feel like your reaction and your mother's reaction was appropriate here. I'm gonna say you're the asshole for this one. And now in the comments, you're the asshole. You need to set boundaries with your mother and do not let her intrude on your marriage. My mother is my best friend, and when my father died after 46 years of marriage, she wouldn't dream of intruding on me like this. The sign might have been crass, but it sounds like your wife has had enough. Exactly. You need to figure out for how long your mom is going to need to live with you and your wife. Loss and grief are a part of life. Your mom will need to work through it and get her own life moving forward. You and your wife need to get back to your life. Your wife has had enough. My dad died out of the blue. It wasn't an illness or anything. I absolutely doted on her, and honestly always have and always will. But she absolutely understands my boundaries and wouldn't dream of coming into the bedroom if I wasn't alone. Honestly, I don't see a big issue with mum staying, but why on earth is she coming in for late night talks in their bedroom? How hard is it to set a boundary of, don't come into our bedroom after we've gone to bed? Yes, and the whole guilt trip with, why don't you want to talk to me? You're all I have left, bullcrap. Everyone knows not to bother other people once they've gone to bed, unless it's a dire emergency. Mum is leaning on Son and using her grief to cross major boundaries, and Sonny Boy cannot see it. Poor wife has it right. I wonder how long she'll put up with him. You're the asshole. There is 24 hours in the day, and your mum can only seem to talk with you when it's bedtime? I understand wanting to support your mother, but she's going to be codependent on you if you keep allowing her to stomp on your boundaries. She's already started to plant seeds of manipulation of "you're all I have left," making you feel guilty. My grandma lost my grandpa after 50 years of marriage. She moved houses and developed her own routine so she could grow as an individual. She said that change and not being dependent on others is what keeps her going. She misses my grandpa dearly, but is happy where she is in life. Your mother needs to start finding herself again, in ways that don't involve you. "You're all I have left" is shorthand for "I'm going to be very difficult to move out in this circumstance." Came here to say this. She got the entire day to talk about what she wants to talk about with OP, but interrupting their time as a couple is a big problem. Even though he doesn't think it's a problem, I really don't understand the unwillingness to even try to find a solution that would make his partner comfortable too. And now, on to the update. Some people asked our ages. I'm 26 and my wife is 25. We have no kids and are waiting until we save up some more money before we start trying for one. So I took a lot of the nicer comments here to heart and I took action. First, I sat down with my mother and tried to get to the root of this issue. She told me that she's been doing this as she's just been so lonely and she wants to feel connected to her only flesh and blood that she has left. This made me really feel for her, so I went to my wife to apologize and try to negotiate something. My wife, however, told me that she doesn't want my mum living here anymore. I tried to see if she could just let her stay one more weekend, but she rejected it. Me and my wife sat her down, and I told her that we felt like we needed more privacy from her, so we asked her to leave for the time being. This set my mum off. She started crying and accusing my wife of trying to, in her words, break us up. I felt bad, like awful. I tried just talking to her, and I wanted to get to the root of why she felt like she needed to be here. She said that now I am her only flesh and blood alive, and if my wife keeps me wrapped around her finger with sex, I'll forget all about her, so she was trying to interrupt that. She also was worried that if I get my wife pregnant, I'll be too busy with her to see her again, and I'll be stuck with my wife when I could do so much better. This made my wife very upset, and I told my mum that I think she needed to leave then. The crying turned into full-on bawling and yelling at my wife. Eventually, I was able to get her out. I told her I don't think that it's best that we speak until she gets over her issues with my wife. Now looking at this, I feel awful. I had a presence who actively wanted my wife gone and didn't want us to be intimate or have couple time, and to top it off, I argued with my wife she wanted to remove said presence. Like I said, I won't be contacting my mother until she apologizes and my wife accepts it, and I don't think she'll be staying over anytime in the near future. I will also be spoiling my wife rotten until I can make this up to her. And now in the comments, wait, she intentionally tried to sabotage your sex life to prevent your wife from having influence in your life and to stop her from getting pregnant because that would make your mother less of a priority. And what's with that break us up thing? That woman needs therapy. That's what I took away as well. It's bad enough when my kids unintentionally cockblock my wife and I, and if I found out mum or mother-in-law was intentionally doing it, I wouldn't have reacted as timidly. Sounds like mother wanted son to replace her recently departed husband. I've seen some posts about emotional incest, and if OP hadn't nipped this in the bud, it easily could have become that. I 100% got the same feeling. She wants to keep some type of manly figure in her life, and her son probably looks like the deceased husband, so she's projecting those emotions onto her son. The mum needs grief counseling something fierce, and if I was OP, I would tell her that she's not welcome in my house unless she starts on it ASAP, and then apologizes to the wife. Proud of you, OP, for realizing your mistake and actively trying to fix it. And OP says, I have been considering this. The fact that you were her only blood relation before she lost her husband may be lost on her, unless they were related. The fact that she could have a grandchild loving on her with addition of blood relative seems to have slipped her mind too. It's sad that she doesn't want you to have a kid with your wife because she's not good enough for you. You know there will never be a woman good enough in your mum's eyes. OP, I am really hoping this opened your eyes a bit. Losing your partner is hard, but trying to use your child as a surrogate husband is absolutely disgusting. I hope you can see how manipulative she is now. Please note this obvious logical fallacy. She doesn't want you and your wife to have a child, yet at the same time she whined that you were her only flesh and blood. If you had a child, she'd have more flesh and blood, but that's not what she wants. She wants you to lose your wife and life so that she has you all to herself. She wouldn't see your child as someone for her to love, she sees you having a child as a rival. She doesn't care about what's best for you, and your instinct to protect her the moment she puts on crocodile tears shows how easily manipulated you are by her. Please keep a distance. Until she gets successful therapy, this is actually a downright dangerous person to have in your life, especially if you ever have or plan to have kids. Our next post is titled, "What would happen if I walked into a random McDonald's and started working?" So I quit working at McDonald's like a week ago, and I still have my work uniform. I was wondering what would happen if I just walked into a different McDonald's than the one I worked at and just started working. Would I get into trouble with the law, or would they just tell me to leave if they noticed? And in the comments, honestly, I feel like most McDonald's are so unorganized that you could walk in and say that it's your first day, and they'd probably go through the whole process of putting your fingerprint in the clock-in thing and everything. Something similar happened in my org several years ago. Some kid walked behind the counter in a McDonald's hat and a red shirt, and as far as I know, he just walked around to the back of the store and then back out. They went into the cameras and sent an email blast of screenshots of this person to every single store in our business center, telling us to look out for something like this happening and what to do if it did. Ours wouldn't care as long as you said that it's your first day. You wouldn't be able to get away with, "I'm from another store," because the managers would all have been informed by the group chat apparently. Saying it's your first day would be a feasible excuse right now, since our GM is on vacation. So if you walk in on a day that the hiring manager isn't working, she'd call your bluff immediately, you might get away with it. If you were already wearing a uniform. Since our GM is on vacation, one of the managers would probably just put your name on a piece of paper at the end of your shift, write your hours and break time, and then put it in the manager's chat. You also wouldn't want to arouse suspicion by knowing every station immediately, because you'd probably have some explaining to do. And now on to the update. So I went to a McDonald's in a nearby town at around 4 PM yesterday. I parked at a nearby store where I had a good view of the drive-thru. I waited until the drive-thru was very full to go to the McDonald's, since they would be too busy to pay attention to me. I casually walked in and pretended to clock in. I washed my hands and put on my gloves. There were only 3 workers in the grill area. 2 of them were busy online, and the other one was frantically dropping tender ones. And when they saw me, they told me to drop nuggets. I dropped nuggets and restocked the little freezer that was by the fryer, and I continued working. One of them asked me if I was new, and I just told him that it's my 3rd day, and he didn't question it. After a while, once things calmed down, one of the workers started teaching me how to do line. I just pretended like I had no clue what I was doing, even though I did. I just occasionally made simple mistakes, like putting diced onions on quarter pounders. Things went downhill once the manager started asking us what breaks we've taken and which we haven't. I stayed quiet, hoping he wouldn't ask me directly. The manager looked at me and said, "And you?" I told him I haven't had any of my breaks. He asked if I was new, and I said yeah. And I gave him a fake name, Bradley Johnson. He looked through his list and told me he couldn't find my name on the schedule, and I said, that's weird. I'm scheduled to work today from 4 PM to 9 PM. He then left to check the system, so I kept working. Once he got back, he said, "Who are you? We don't have you in our system." And I told him that there must have been a mistake since I already had orientation on Wednesday, and I also worked Thursday. He left to double check, and once he returned, he told me that I wasn't in the system or the schedules. I told him I had no idea what's going on, and that I'm as confused as he is. He was already kinda pissed at this point, and he called the hiring manager. And you could already guess he found out I wasn't an employee and told me to get the F out or he was going to call the police. I left, and the crew members were just talking with each other about what the hell just happened. And now in the comments, It would have been hilarious if he just ignored you missing on system. At my store, it's pretty common for people to be missing in the system even after 2 to 3 days since they started. But here we use plastic cards to punch in, and we do use SMS, but it's heavily overlaid by other EMP admin program. So here in Europe, they probably wouldn't even mind. Man doesn't even know until he has to call the hiring manager. Hiring manager probably is really pissed at you if it was their day off though. And OP says, well, good thing I gave them a fake name, and I plan not to go to that McDonald's for a while. Ha, that's quality. In Oz, there was a group of boys who were going around to a bunch of stores and walking in like, hey, it's my first shift, and then stealing crap or drinking alcohol while in uniform. OP made a lot of those workers' days, I'll bet. A helping hand when they're slammed, and then some juicy drama to talk about for a good while afterwards. Sounds awesome to me. We have been blessed by the McAngel. I wonder what would happen if a flash mob of previous employees suddenly show up and take on an extremely busy shift, including fixing the ice cream machine by a qualified technician. Alright, and that's where I'm going to leave you guys today. I do hope you enjoyed the episode. If you did, let me know what you think of it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.